unfortunately I was appearing rotated, and it definitely would not have been a great experience to continue like that. So we thought we should end that stream and then start a new stream. So let me just quickly check if everything is working fine, and then we can start with the session. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining. I hope all of you are doing well, and I'll wait for a minute or so just so that more and more students can join in, because I'm guessing that a lot of them would have tried the earlier link, and of course that is not working. So this is the new link on which we are doing the stream. So let me wait for some time. Yeah, hi Prince. Welcome to the session. Let's wait for a couple of minutes more and then we'll start. Okay. So hi Jinesh. Hi. Good evening. I hope all of you are doing well. So okay, there is Sukoon here. I'm making a lot of silly mistakes. Hi Tanya. Hi Divyansh. Okay, so let's start with the first question that we got, which is making a lot of silly mistakes, right? And see, when you look at silly mistakes, understand that it will continue to happen, and it happens to everybody, right? So it's not that we'll be able to get rid of all of these mistakes completely, but what you need to focus on is if there are any particular, if you have observed a pattern there that, okay, these are the kind of mistakes that I'm making, then you can do some sort of intervention. For example, let's say you realize that always when it comes to multiplications you're making a mistake, then whenever you do it next time, just be mindful of that and take additional care to maybe recheck that one calculation, right? Because it will save you some time. So that is what you'll have to do if you observe any sort of a trend. Otherwise, some silly mistakes are okay. Maybe one in a paper is okay, you can live with that, but it should not happen again and again, right? So if there's any pattern, then you definitely need to control it. Okay, question from Harshvardhan: how to use the one-on-one mentor? Okay, so we have something called My Plan, so you can always book a one-on-one session with the mentors who have open slots. So when you log into My IMS, you will be able to go to My Plan, and there you will be able to see what are the open slots, and then you can book a session with your mentor. Dhruv, unable to achieve consistency in scores. Okay, so fluctuations, again, it will happen to everybody. What you need to know is what is the typical baseline performance or an average performance if you have taken, let's say, 10 or 15 SIMCATs. What's the average score that you have got, which gives you a fair understanding of where you are. There will be, of course, good days, there will be bad days. Let's not focus too much on the bad days in the remaining time. So let me not worry about, let's say, suddenly I get a low score in a particular test. I'll not be worried about it. What I will focus on is, of course, am I hitting the the baseline number that I have? Let's say, for example, the baseline could be 15 in VARC. So am I consistently getting more than that? In some mocks, if I get less than that, that's okay. But if that could be a function of difficulty of the test. But as long as I'm hitting like a certain number repeatedly, that's what I will focus on. And I'll try and ensure that I'm able to replicate my performances which have been above that particular number. But it's okay. So the score fluctuations, you should not worry too much about it. Okay. Question from Jinesh: how to get directly in the solving mode? Like in VRC, the initial 5 minutes is not that productive. So not every minute that you spend in the test will lead to an attempt, right? So when you look at, even when you look at DILR, the same is case with RC, that there is going to be that initial time when you are identifying the set or when you are solving it. You will have time wherein you are not getting marks, but you are leading up to that, right? So when I spend 5 minutes reading an RC, I know that after I finish reading, let's say after 7-8 minutes, whatever, I spend another 4-5 minutes to answer the question. In 12 to 13 minutes, I'm going to have 4 attempts. So that is the approach that you go with. You are not going to have an attempt happening every single minute or every 2 minutes that you spend in the paper. So that is okay. That's not a concern. Now, when you say how to get directly in the solving mode, one way would be to then do VA questions. If you get that sort of a feeling that in RC, I'm spending the initial 5 minutes in this section and it's not giving me anything, then in that case, you can start with VA. But you have to try it in mocks and see if VA first approach works for you. If you think I'm more of, I'm a candidate for whom, let's say, solving RCs works better compared to solving VA, then you have to do RCs and know that the initial 5 minutes you will need to read and comprehend the RC. So it's not like some magic that you immediately in the first 1 or 2 minutes you'll be able to answer or attempt one particular question. Okay, this is from Funny Raju. I am unable to cross 70 marks. Okay, so first of all, 70 is a very good position to be in. So if you're at 70 right now, I think you should be very confident and continue to put in the effort that you're put in. Definitely, it will improve from here. Now, what you need to look at is, of course, the mocks that you have taken. See where are the gaps, what are the topics, can I study some of these topics in the remaining time or not? So that's a question that you will have to answer for yourself, right? That, okay, these are maybe these couple of topics that I can still put some effort on, or these are the topics that I'm not going to put any efforts on. So take a call. The remaining days, you take as many mocks as you can, avoid burning out, and of course, analyze the mocks very, very well, right? That goes without saying. See, if you take, say, in the remaining days, somebody takes 15 mocks, right? But does not analyze, versus somebody takes, let's say, 10 mocks or 8 mocks with thorough analysis. That person will derive more benefit from this entire exercise. Okay. Moonlit riddles. Hi, sir. Do I need to resolve all SIMCAT questions and DLR questions? No, you don't need to resolve all of them. What you can do, however, is when you do your analysis, right, you can look at all the A and B category sets that have appeared. Now, why do I say A and B category and not C categories? Because even if, let's say, a C category question comes in the paper, mostly you're going to skip that. So might as well focus more on the A and B category questions. Does that mean that you should not be looking at any of the C category questions in your analysis? I would say if you have time, then you do it. But if you don't have that time, then don't do it. Okay. So in the upcoming mocks that you will end up taking, let's say there is a C category set. Now, during the analysis, at least have a look at the initial solution so that you know that, okay, if at all the set is like this, I need to stay away from it. See, a lot of students ask that, should I even be spending time on C category questions? But the point is that you have to know what is a C category question. So a 4-set Venn diagram typically might be very difficult for majority of the students. So then for them, it is a C category question. For you, you have to decide whether is it doable for me, not doable for me, right? So that way, exposure of C category questions is important because you at least know that what is it that I need to stay away from. See, think of it like the way you play cricket, right? You will end up facing, let's say you're doing net practice, you're going to face different kinds of deliveries, right? Now, why do you do that? Why do you even have, say, some of the difficult deliveries? Is because now when you go to the actual match, you know that, okay, this is a ball that I should, this is a delivery that I should hit, this is something that I should skip, right? So that is where the whole practice comes into picture. Okay. Harshvardhan, help for FMS form SOP. Okay, so you can firstly, if you're a classroom student, just reach out to your mentor at the center. If you're an online student, again, there are online mentors that are there. You can book a My Plan to discuss your SOP, right? So there is a My Plan title called VAT SOP review. You can book that session with any of your mentors. I'm unable to cross 60 marks. I have the same answer for somebody who said I'm unable to cross 70 marks, right? You analyze your papers and figure out where the gaps are. Karthik, I'm GNEM 888, 24 months work ex commerce. What should I target for ABC, LIK, and FMS? Mostly it's going to be in some, for some of the IMs, maybe a 98 plus might suffice. But I doubt if, because of the 888, it might be a problem even at 98. I think a 99 plus is what you will need for most of the IMs. Wanda, my VRC score is getting worse. I used to get 34, 36, but now I'm getting only 15, 16. See, if it is like a very recent phenomenon, right, I would not worry too much because of multiple reasons. One is pressure start building up. The other is the difficulty of the test itself. The third thing is you may have had a bad day, right? So there could be multiple reasons. If you have been getting 34, 36 earlier, you have to revisit those mocks and see, okay, what did I do wrong in this particular mock? And what was I doing right in those mocks? So take 2 mocks, one where you've done very well, and the second where you've not done well, and then do a contrast. Firstly, you will do a contrast in terms of the question selection matrix, that, okay, did I select the right set of questions, but also how many questions from each of the categories were there. So how many were A category, B category, and C category questions. So that analysis is important. Okay. This is from VJ Gautam. I practice arithmetic well, but not able to solve in mocks. Okay, so see, there is no point saying that I am somebody who does great in practice, but when it comes to the match day and not able to perform, right? Because you have to know that whatever you have done, ultimately you have done it from an objective. The objective is to do well on the test. So all the effort that you have put in, if you're not practicing in the test environment, right, you will not be able to really see whether you will be able to deliver or not. So I'll say take more and more mocks, because you have to get used to that and identify why you're not able to perform. So if, let's say, you're somebody who has done the whole of arithmetic, where you are going wrong. If there are, let's say, 8 questions from arithmetic, 5 are easy, 2 are moderate, 1 is difficult, am I able to do at least those 5 questions? Because I'm not worried about those 2 and 1 questions that you got from category B and C, but 5 easy A category questions, that is a bigger concern, right? So if you're not able to solve that, then somewhere there's a problem. Maybe the content is not at the level that you think it is. So just rationalize your expectations from that one area, which is arithmetic. But let's say, for example, you might like arithmetic, you've done whole of arithmetic. Tomorrow there are only 6 questions from arithmetic. Then what will you do? So you also need to have command on at least 2 other areas, so that you will be able to survive on the test. Okay. I was very good in start. This is from Ishita Gupta. I was very good in start, scoring 90 plus in CAT, but now I got 45. Day back I got 70. What to do? I'm a Club 100 student. Firstly, being in Club 100 student, it tells me, right, that you are somebody who has the potential. You have done 3 plus SimCATs where you have got 90 plus percentile. So obviously you're there, right? So I will not worry about occasional low score. So 45 is fine. I mean, 45 is not a bad score, by the way. Mostly if you have had like equal performances across 3 sections, you would have cleared sectional uh, percentile cutoffs as well. So it's okay. You got a 70 right now also, that's fine. See, now you need to stay away from overthinking, which is what a lot of people do. That I'm getting a score of 70, I'm getting a score of 80. Will I make it? Will I not make it? The point is that, see, you are already ahead of a huge percentage of the population because you have been preparing for the test. People who have not prepared, right? Ideally, they should be worried. So you're already prepared. You have done so many mocks. You have solved so many questions. That ideally should build up confidence. But I understand that it's human tendency to create what-if scenarios and then be continuously thinking about them. So stay away from that as much as possible. So let's not build unnecessary pressure. Okay. Vanshika, I'm able to solve 2 sets in DLR. How can I reduce time per set to get extra 2-3 questions? So firstly, 2 sets, if you're able to solve consistently, that's very good. Keep it up. You need to figure out what is your way of approaching the sets, right? So do you look at all the sets in the beginning and then decide and then solve? What you also need to do is look at your rough sheet, right? Your rough work that you do. Is it pretty organized, so that just in case you need to come back to a particular set, will you be able to pick it up from there or not? The other thing that you can try out is just go a little bit faster, maybe even 5%, right? It's not something that you will even feel, but you have to push yourself in the beginning that, okay, let me go a bit faster, force yourself to do that. That 5% speed also will create opportunity for you to do maybe a couple of more questions, but it's not going to happen just like that. So on the test day, what happens is sometimes things just fall in place, right? You may not have expected them to be that way, but they just fall in place. So you'll be able to do even 3 sets on that particular day. You never know, but you have to push for that, and you have to be mindful of the time that is going, right? So when the clock is ticking, ideally the way it should be that you analyze a couple of sets, decide 1 set, and while you're solving that 1 set, after you're done creating, let's say, the figure, you look at how much time is left to answer the questions, and then once you're done answering the questions, then you again look at the timer to see how much time you have to do the next set. So after every about 5 to 6 minutes at least, you have to take a call. This is the amount of time that you have spent, and are you seeing any progress or not, or do I need to move to some other set, etc. So the clock has to get adjusted to that. That, okay, after every 5-6 minutes, automatically my eyes are going in that direction. Okay? But that you can practice in SimCATs. Xenomorph, during mock test, I experience a sudden urge to use the bathroom, even though it isn't truly necessary. I believe this is due to anxiety and causes me to go a couple of times. So, firstly, figure out how much water you are taking in, right? That will have an impact on this whole thing. And before the test begins, right, you have this instruction thing when you have to go through the instructions. And after that time also, you have like the 10-minute window, and then the test actually begins, right? I think 10 or 15-minute window. So at that time, you should use the washroom that is there at the test venue. And actually, it's a genuine concern for a lot of people, right? So don't think that this is again a very unique problem as such. A lot of people, for whatever reasons, right? It could be anxiety itself, which is triggering that. But that's why start making a habit of taking all the mocks in the same slot. And when you take it at home, right, as much as possible, don't use the washroom, because you will have to plan it in such a way that before the test begins, that 30-minute, 45 minutes that you have, right? So you go to the test. When they do the biometric, at that time you use the washroom once. After that, don't have water, correct? And then just before the test begins, you go to the washroom one more time. And after that, if required during the test, you can sip a little bit of water after every section, so that you are not taking in too much. Okay. The other thing is, if it is a medical problem, then of course it's better that you get the reports done, right? That's the simplest way to sort of figure something out if there is anything wrong. But I just hope that there's nothing wrong medically, and it's more of anxiety issue. Then it can be controlled using that repetitive mechanism. So you do it multiple times at home, so that you don't you feel comfortable. That's the whole point. And thanks for asking that question. In fact, it's a genuine concern for a lot of people. Okay. Rahul, good evening. I struggle to do QA questions in less than 2.5 3 minutes. I know how to do it, but it takes time 3 to 5 minutes. See, Rahul, sometimes it's okay. I mean, if say again, I think I mentioned this last time as well. Let's say you do one question and you take 3 minutes, and then another question you take 5 minutes. You have done two questions. The average time is 4 minutes per question. The other option that you had to do was do individual questions also for 4 minutes, right? So as long as there is that average being maintained, that average time that you take per question, I will not be very concerned about, let's say on a particular question I've overshot my time, right? Because I can always sort of average it out. So the moment you have a difficult question and you end up spending a lot of time, you have to have an easy question to compensate for the extra time that you spend. So you need to figure that out, that okay, where is that next A category question which will help me to take my average that I want to have as close to the ideal as possible. Okay. Why am I not getting added in Club 100? I've got more than 8 times 90 plus percentile. Okay, so firstly, it is only during the proctored window. So we don't consider performances outside the proctored window when it comes to Club 100. Okay, I'm getting 60s in mocks now. Is it a good score? Yes, Roshni, that's fine, absolutely fine. Um, in remaining days, PYQ solving or SimCats? Both. So DS 133, to answer your question, you have to do both. Combination is important, and at least a few SimCats, because then it gives you like a complete feel of a new test. Whereas past year questions, they give you a sense of what's like the gold standard, right? So do both. I'll do maybe 4-4 in the remaining days. I can still do that because we have what 10-11 days ahead of us. I can definitely do 8 mock tests. Maybe a 4-4 would be great. Unable to solve questions in mock, but doing the same question after mock very easily. So what do I do? Okay, so Harsh, most of the times this is related to performance pressure, thinking too much about what the outcome is going to be, etc. So you need to relax yourself as much as possible. I would suggest that you can try out. There are different apps that are available that help you to do guided motivation, guided meditation, sorry, and it definitely helps you to calm your nerves, right? So you can try something out like that, which will help you to be more present. And if you can handle that, then nothing like it. But this is going to be the case for a lot of people. The other thing is, especially with respect to DLR and even with QA, what happens is, because let's say you're solving it in the test, you have tried out a couple of approaches. Okay, so let's say there was a problem on quadratic equations. You tried substituting, you tried using options or whatever. It didn't work out. Now, because your mind knows that okay, these are the approaches that don't work, when you come outside the test condition and you're doing review, at that time you already know that, okay, these things don't work, I have to try something else. And because of that, you are able to arrive at the solution. So because your mind has already eliminated the things that don't work. Okay. uh, all right, somebody has written the question multiple times, so again I tend to then lose, I kind of then forget what did I answer also. uh, my profile is can I get I am Shillong? Okay, so I'm definitely not going to get into any profile evaluation questions right now, because it either over motivates somebody or it will demotivate them, right? So don't worry about these things. You already know the past data because most of it is available on the B school zone also. You can see the cutoffs, etc. You have to figure out, okay, what is the best that I can do from here in CAT. It's not about whether you'll get a shortlist from one IM or you'll not get it from another IM. See, I had a student once, right? And this student got 99.87 on the CAT and didn't get a call from Ahmedabad and Bangalore. He had terrible academic record. But he got a call from C and he converted C. This is a long time back. This is around 2017-ish. So that, of course, the criteria was different that time. But then he got one call that he wanted and he converted that, right? So he didn't sit and figure out, oh, I didn't get a call from A and B. Now what do I do with my life? So what calls you get, right? You don't completely control that because there are so many other variables. You control your test score, so just focus on it in the remaining days. So right now is not the time to worry about calls, and that's my advice to everybody, no matter who is asking me. Is Masters Union good? Should I join if I get an offer letter? Means should I consider it, or simple no? My personal take is going to be that you can definitely get better options. See, when you have any B school that has a lot of strong claims, right? You have to really dig deep into it and check whether it is really making sense to you or not. And I would say that there are so many B schools that are already there in the country who have been there for decades. I would rather go with them than just trying something out with my career that I may or may not know whether it will work. Right? What to do in VRC in the last 10 days? At least 4 to 5 RCs if you can solve every day. If you can do about 30-40 minutes of reading every day from various topics, that should be enough. And of course, the mock test that I told you. Is it beneficial to see video solutions of SIMCATs but not giving them as test? My teacher said to do as not able to give time for mocks and many mocks are pending. Um, for some mocks, you can still do it. I'm not saying I'm not completely averse to that idea, but I will definitely end up to try and do at least one test or test equivalent every day. So that test equivalent can come in this form as well. That's okay. But don't overdo that. I mean, it should not happen that every SIMCAT I'm just going through the video solutions and I'm not attempting it on my own, because then you're not deriving maximum benefit from the whole thing. Because see, looking at video solutions is one thing where you feel good, but doing the same thing in the paper is another ball game, right? So it's not exactly same. Are there GDPI classes for IMS offline students? Yes, that all of that will happen, but in December. Okay, my score is 19 SIMCAT. What can I expect in CAT? 19 SIMCAT is very good. You can definitely expect upside from here. Pawan, I'm getting stressed in these last days with my mock results, which I shouldn't do, and going through alternate options, thinking, what if my CAT doesn't end well? Okay, so as I mentioned sometime back, right, that all of us are humans, right, and we like creating these what if questions and situations and scenarios. You have to stay away from it as much as possible, right? See, the whole point is going to be um, you have to know, you have to trust the effort that you have put in so far, right? See, all of you have done so much of effort, right? Whether it is solving test or the courseware that is given, the past year questions. It won't happen that all of that will not help you, right? It will help you. Somebody might get a 90 percentile, somebody might get a 95%, correct? Your objective on that day is to do the best that you can in those 2 hours. Now, even after that, let's say for whatever reasons, you don't get the the score that you were expecting. Do you think this is the end of it? The answer is no, right? Because you are going to have more tests. So you have ZAT, you have NMAT, SNAP, MyCAT, CMAT, CET, PGDBA, whatever test. And there are hundreds of students or thousands of students every year who, for whatever reasons, through CAT, they get an institute that they don't want to have. See, people say that if I got 85 percentile, my chances are gone, right? See, even at 85 percentile, you have reasonably good colleges. Even at 80, you have reasonably good colleges. The bottom line is whether you want to join those colleges or not. And that's a question that you can answer in Jan, Feb, March. Right now, you don't have to worry about that. So don't create what if scenarios. Just focus on the CAT and give the best that you can. After that, whatever happens, happens. See, even somebody at a 99.9 percentile who gets a call from some IM can end up getting a reject from that particular institute. Does that stop the person from trying for whatever options that he or she has and giving the best performances every single time? I'll tell you a story of one of our students who made it to IMA. In IMK interview last year, they asked him a lot of questions. He could not answer some of them, and they called him words that he didn't want to hear. In fact, he felt almost like tearing up when the interview was going on because they made it like a stress interview. The same student converted IMA. So there's no point creating multiple what if scenarios. It's not going to help anybody. So just stay away from that. Okay. Will my signature not being visible on the admit card become a problem? I'm not very sure how visible or not visible it is. You can change the printer settings sometimes in such a way that you can enhance the image a little bit. So see if you can do that and make sure that the signature is clearly visible in that case. Not able to solve completely a single DLR set in SimCAT, so not getting score in DLR. What should be done in remaining days to start scoring in DLR section? I would suggest that you do all past CAT papers thoroughly, at least know all the types that have been asked, and do one or two more sets of those types. So for example, in 1 year you see there is a set on tournament, do two more sets on tournament from practice. Then you see, okay, one set which is on pie chart, then do two sets of pie chart which are similar to that or slightly different. So I will just now in the remaining days, if I'm somebody who is not able to do even one set, rely more and more on the past year papers and the types that have been asked. How to revise QA in the last days? Go through all the formula once. Great if you can write all the formula down. Okay, so I don't know if people will do it or not. It takes a bit of an effort, but if you can sit and write all the formula once, it will really help you. But if not that, you can at least read through all the concepts and the formula once, or maybe two or three times also in the remaining days. That's the only way to revise quant. So I'll not get into individual questions, right? Because you would have done most of them anyway. So that's not again, you can't go back and do every single question from the course where you simply don't have so much time. MICA classes is available on IMS portal or not? Okay, so for MICAT, there are mocks that you have. We have also given, which is a recent addition, that we have given 10 questions and sample answers for the creative and descriptive writing section that is there. And then you have the mocks that are there. And after CAT, I will be doing one workshop on the psychometric and the descriptive and creative writing. Okay. Otherwise, mocks are sufficient. There isn't anything very different. But I would also suggest if you can do the ADMAT masterclasses, especially the logical reasoning, it will help you in the divergent and convergent thinking of MICA. Should we do previous year papers on new mocks right now? First score is not good. Do both. Again, that's my advice is pretty simple, right? Do both. So do a few SimCATs, do a few past year papers. What song would you listen to personally before entering? I would not listen to any song actually, because I'm the kind of person who again, sometimes it just you keep thinking about that song repeatedly. So I prefer not to listen to anything when I go for the test. In fact, if you have like ear muffs, I'm not saying ear plugs also is fine, but if you have ear muff, you can actually wear ear muffs and go. Noise cancellation basically. So you're not able to hear anything. The less distractions, the better. How to increase VRC score? It's a very generic question, but I'm going to make an attempt. See, you have to get the easiest one or two RCs. If you can identify that itself will solve your problem. What RC will be easiest can differ from person to person, though there is like a generic or general understanding of what is easy, what is difficult. Right? What I'm trying to get at is, let's say, for example, I like reading a lot about technology, right? So if I get an RC from technology, there is a very good chance that I will feel comfortable, even though it may be standalone, say easy, moderate, or difficult task. Correct. I'm going to feel a certain level of comfort. So pick areas where you're comfortable, right? That's one key to have at least some score. The other is to identify areas on the VA that are easier. For example, summary is generally easier because summary is nothing but what given, you have to comprehend that and answer it. Compared to say something like maybe a para completion, which where people may struggle. So summary, finding one easy RC, that will help you to improve your score. How to boost NMAT and SNAP scores. Okay, so today's discussion is more on CAT, but just going to give you some hint on that. Once CAT is done, shift entire focus on NMAT SNAP. Depending on which test you're going to appear for first, you will take more mocks of that test, but you'll also do mocks of the other test. Let's say, for example, if I'm taking NMAT first, then I'm doing SNAP. Even before I take NMAT, I will take maybe 1 or 2 mocks of SNAP just to get a sense of what the paper is like. And I will definitely do ADMAT masterclasses. They're very useful. So please do that. And then, of course, the mocks that are there. What's the CAT cutoff at MICA? Okay, so MICA doesn't have a specific cutoff when it comes to CAT. They don't release that data basically. They obviously have a cutoff, but they don't release that. What we have observed in the past is if you have, and looking at the current difficulty of MICAT, so again, whatever I'm saying is based on last 2 years MICAT difficulty. If you have, let's say, 90 plus on the CAT, a score of somewhere between 10 to 15 on MICAT might suffice. If you are between 85 to 90 on the CAT, the score requirement would be in MICAT around 15-20. If you are less than 85 on the CAT, it's better that you aim for 20 to 22, 23, something like that, because then it will improve your chance of getting a call. So it's a combination of MICAT and CAT score with 50% weightage. If you have done well on the one test, then other tests slightly lower performance is also. Tension ho raha hai. So again, see, all of us are humans, right? So is there anybody who can say confidently that okay, I don't get tense, right? I mean, we get tense with like really petty things, that what if I miss the bus today, or what if, let's say, for whatever reasons my food doesn't come on time, right? So we get tensed and stressed about n number of things on a daily basis. The point is you have to understand what is worth like spending a lot of your brain and mind energy on, and what is not worth it, right? So that is why in the limited days that you have ahead of you, I will do whatever I can in terms of solving questions, in terms of having the discipline of taking all mocks in the same slot, getting up on time, eating well, sleeping well, all of that. I'll just try and ensure that I do whatever I control in the remaining days to reduce that tension. Okay, and that's about it. So I'll not overthink. But yeah, I understand it's easier said than done. So, is one day one mock a good strategy in the last days? You can do that, but I would say at least take break after 4-5 mocks. So you take, let's say, today is what, Wednesday. So if I do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday take a break, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday you can take a mock, and then maybe Friday is like the last when you can take a mock. So one break in between. What is safe score to get IIM Mumbai? Okay, so don't think of any safe scores. There are no safe scores. See, ultimately everything is relative, right? And the only good thing this year is the drop in number of applicants. So that will have an impact on the cutoffs of pretty much all the B schools, because if they continue to maintain the same shortlisting rate that they have compared and the selection rate that they typically have, then obviously the cutoffs will drop a little bit, so that they accommodate the same number of people, right? But marginal drop. Should we watch additional strategy videos right now or work with what we know already? Well, work with what you know already. See, no, there's no magic pill, right? So if you watch the right set of videos, the only video that I would suggest everybody to watch is, if you're an IMS student, is going to be the last mile to CAT, because there you have all the sectional strategies that have been discussed. Apart from that, there aren't any other strategies. There are no magic pills. Deepak, whenever I see a new type of question in a mock, I get curious, get stuck on it, and end up wasting a few minutes. How can I avoid this? Okay, so good question, Deepak. This happens to a lot of students who are by nature very curious, right? So they see a puzzle and they suddenly it gets charged them up, right? So you have to keep it aside. So when I was a student, and I used to do this a lot, that I would see a difficult question and sit on it for more time, because I used to have this thing that how can I not answer it, right? I was very good at maths, by the way, when I was a student. So had a 99.91 on the quant section in the year in which I took the CAT, second time, that is. So I used to have this a lot in mocks, and I used to do that. I sit on a question for like 4, 5, 6 minutes. So my mentor that time told me one very good thing, that do you have a fridge at your home? Right? And I said yes. So take out your attitude, keep it in the fridge, and then go to the test. Right? So it's humorous, but it's true, right? That you don't have to, you have to change that attitude a little bit. That number one attitude is curiosity. That I will not get unnecessarily curious on that day. That okay, oh, suddenly there is this puzzle, it looks very nice, let me jump into it. It's unfamiliar terrain, let's not get into that. The second is that whole attitude, that how can I not solve this? So I have to control that and say, okay, fine, there are limitations. Not all deliveries are worth hitting. So I'm going to relax sometimes. Okay. Can we wear jewelry in the exam? No, it's clearly mentioned on your admit card. You can't do that. LinkedIn profile matters, so it doesn't. I mean, most of the B schools don't look at it in selection or shortlisting. SIMCAT में 45 around आ रहा है. Is it really low at this stage? Not at all. Nirmal, right? Definitely not. So there are a lot of people who are getting far lower compared to what you have written. So I'll not say if there's, it's not a concern at all. 45 is good. I couldn't attend 2-3 master classes. Should I watch them now? You can watch the pre-recorded stuff rather than the class recording. So you can do master classes, but again, I would suggest master classes only to people who are hitting, say, 90 plus percentile in their SIMCATs. For others, I will not recommend master classes. In last 10 days, should I revise the full SIMCAT errors again, PYQ? Just stick to one. You can do that. I mean, if I don't know how many errors you will have to go through for that. So depending on the volume, I think it's doable. How can I improve my VRC attempts? Again, identify the easiest RC, but that definition can vary from person to person. More importantly, identify something that you will find comfort in reading, because then mostly your comprehension is going to be better, which will help you to answer more and more questions. I'm getting around 93, 95 in SIMCATs. What to do to get 99 in actual CAT? In fact, 93 to 95 in SIMCAT itself is like, I would say, an equivalent of 97, 98 on the actual test. So it's just going to be a matter of maybe a couple of more questions in each of the sections. So if you can squeeze in 1 or 2 extra attempts across the 3 sections, or even in maybe one section, you're able to attempt, let's say, 3 questions more, it will take you to a 99 percentile. Can we do PYQs from 2010? Generally, I don't recommend that, because what happens is, when you look at 2008 also, previous to that, the format was very, very different. And there are a lot of question types that have completely stopped appearing. So if you look at, say, pre-2008 papers of CAT, you will see there used to be a question type called fact inference judgment in VRC. There used to be questions related to the spelling of the word, right? So stationary, one with E and one with A. So what's the difference? So a lot of these question types don't appear, and that is why you can't completely do all of the questions. In quant, I think it still makes sense to do those things, because there's like a range of difficulty. Very, very difficult, like 2008, for example, and very easy if you look at, say, 2002, 2003 papers, etc. So it's good to do some of them, but I'll not overdo it. See, when I given a choice between papers after 2019 and the previous papers, I'm definitely going to pick 2019 onwards. PYQs and sectionals, or SIMCATs and PYQs? PYQs and SIMCATs. That is a better option to take rather than sectionals. See, if you're planning to not take a test every single day, right? See, broadly, now, again, I'm answering this now for everybody. First things first, you decide how many tests you want to solve, as in full length test. The full length test can be a SIMCAT, it can be a past year paper. So if I say, okay, from now on, I'm going to do 8 papers, right? 8 full-time tests. There are still, maybe I have enough time, maybe I have additional time, maybe I have 1 or 2 free days. On those days, I can do sectionals. So I can definitely do one full length test plus 1 or 2 sectionals every single day without getting fatigued. So you decide what is the level of fatigue for you. If you think you're going to get burnt out, then I will say avoid. But if you say, okay, I can easily handle it, then I can do, let's say, one mock in the morning if I have morning slot, one sectional in the afternoon, one sectional in the evening, and then analysis of that particular mock. How should the revision be in the last days? Mostly just formula revision. So going through all the formulae that are there in quant. DLR, VRC, I don't think there's a lot of revision to be done in the remaining days. It's mostly going through the past mocks to see what sort of mistakes you have made and reflect on that. How to use IMS modules for CAT? Uh, right now, I don't know if you have enough time to go back to the courseware. So apart from doing the theory, solved examples, just sort of glancing through it, I don't think there is much to be done with modules at this stage. Which SIMCAT should I definitely do? Um, so can't really pick and choose, but then what we can do is maybe, or what you can also do is look at the, we give this table, right? So there is a page where you have score versus percentile that is given, and you have the topper score, etc. Right? So anything that is closer to CAT 24, you can pick on those particular tests specifically if you want to. But otherwise, see, there is no point me deciding the test beforehand, right? Because then I get biased around it. That is why I will not recommend that approach. I'll just randomly take any SIMCAT that is there. What do you think of the difficulty level this year? I have no thoughts on it. I like to keep like a super clean slate, and I don't want to, because I've been disappointed in the past, right? So see, I've taken CAT like what 12, 11, 12 times now. A couple of years in between didn't take because I got like really far off centers and it wasn't worth it. Uh, there is no point expecting a lot of things. So I generally don't set expectations in terms of how difficult or easy it is going to be. Slot 1 students obviously face the surprise element hits them harder compared to other students, because if you're in slot 2 or 3, you at least know what happened in slot 1. If you're in slot 1, you don't know what is going to happen, right? So I'll not set too much expectations on difficulty, but what I like to think of is, if I am finding the paper to be difficult, a lot of people will find it to be difficult, and then I just need to play on accuracy. But if the paper is easy, a lot of people will also find the paper to be easy. Then I have to play on attempts. So I have that equation which generally works well. Sometimes it doesn't. So you never know. Any job or course after 12th, you are at the wrong place right now. So we are discussing basically something for CAT students who are graduates or are in the final year of graduation. After 12th, you can technically do anything. If you're doing PCM, you can do whatever engineering after this if you want. You can move towards some other specialized domains if you want. It's completely open, right? It's like whatever interests you. It's Shreya, my accuracy is very low. Suggest something to improve. So 38% is, of course, a very low accuracy. But what you need to figure out is what is contributing to that. Is it content? Is it the type of questions that you select? Is it you are spending over a lot of time on some of the questions, which is not leaving you with enough time to do the ones that you should be solving? So there are multiple levels there. Now, if you're entering a particular question, you have to know the steps, right? Otherwise, there's no point entering. So your accuracy will always be bad if you are starting with something that you're not sure of. So in quant, I'll be specific and say, okay, fine. These are the topics I know. These are the topics that I don't know. I will not touch anything that I don't know. When it comes to VRC, it could be a comprehension issue. Remaining days might not be sufficient to improve comprehension dramatically, but you can maybe enhance it slightly. So work on that. With DLR, again, it will come down to finding the easiest set. After one RC, my accuracy falls in the next RC. What strategy shall I follow? Yeah, I mean, as you progress towards difficult RCs, right, your accuracy will start dropping. So that's natural. That's bound to happen. I would say identify 2 easy RCs that you can really work with, and maybe wherein you have 80% or more accuracy. At least maybe 4 VA questions if you can find, where again you can have 80%. The remaining questions, even if the accuracy comes down to let's say 60% or so, on average you would be about 70% or more. So that will take care of things. Getting 45 marks, what to do now? Nothing different compared to what you have done so far. So you just continue to take mocks, do past year question papers. That's about it. If I haven't taken any mocks, should I take now? Absolutely, you have to take mocks. Is 78 out of 204 a good score as a gem for IM Udaipur? Nobody knows, by the way, right? I mean, see, what you're asking is, if you say 78, right? That's raw score first. Any raw score from any of the slots will get subjected to normalization and scaling. Then you will have scaled score. Basis that percentile will get calculated. A raw score of 78 in a difficult paper would lead to a higher percentile compared to a raw score of 78 in an easy paper. So you don't know whether the paper is going to be easy or difficult or moderate. That is why I can't say, or nobody else can also say, whether 78 out of 204 will suffice. Okay, you have to think in terms of percentile. What's your lowest percentile in CAT? Okay, so two things here. One is, as a student, my least percentile was around 85. That was my first attempt of CAT. Then I had a 98.28 on my genuine attempt. After I became a mentor, my least has been a 98.8ish. That has been my least, which is like a very bad year. But otherwise, I have like stayed above 99. And again, I don't take any mocks and all of that, so I don't even expect my score to be very high. I mean, it would be unfair for me to expect a very good score. I'm scoring average of 90 percentile in PYQs. How to improve? So 90 percentile in PYQs is again pretty good. What I will do is, whether it is my past year question papers or my SimCats, my analysis is to be on point, right? That what is it that I'm not doing? So when I look at question, firstly, should I have done this question or not? If I should have done it, have I done it correctly or not? So all of these questions, right? Basically, it's nothing but common sense. But then you have to ask yourself that and figure out, are you doing the right things in terms of question selection also and in terms of solving also? If you can figure out kind of mistakes that you're making and just even stay away from it, automatically it will push up your score by maybe 5 to 10%. CAT के algebra arithmetic geometry school वाले से same है क्या? Okay, so firstly, if you're not a CAT aspirant, I don't think the stream is going to be very meaningful to you. But yes, it is pretty similar to what you have on your in the school syllabus, but of course twisted as much as they can. Okay, I'm going to take maybe a couple of more questions and then we wrap up the stream. Is practicing more questions again a good strategy targeting 1995? More SimCats, more past year papers than general practice. Okay. Scoring around 97 percentile, what are the chances that I'll be able to cross 99? Typically 97 is decent, so I think you should be able to reach closer to 99 or get more also. Not able to find the right set in DILR, please watch the last mile to CAT video. It contains all the strategies that you need to follow. I'm scoring about around 10-12 marks in DILR. How to improve sectional for sectional cutoff? So 10-12 marks is basically one set. You will need one extra set. So my question selection, my set selection game has to be correct. Figure out what sets you have not been able to solve in the past. Are you see what a lot of students do, right? It's a common mistake that, let's say, don't get a Venn diagram set correct, okay, in a mock. They will not do additional practice of that set. See, the only way you can improve is if you don't get something and then you realize that I don't know this, and now you have done 3-4 things around that which will help you to do it next time. See, if I know that I don't know 4 set Venn diagram, but I don't study it, it's not going to help you, right? I mean, the next time you see a 4 set Venn, you will definitely not do it. So the only way to improve your content is to figure this out, that okay, something is wrong, and let me practice more questions. Solving PYQs again or doing new questions from SimCats? Both. What should be the mindset if CAT doesn't go as expected? Well, not the end of the world, right? So it's completely okay. There are so many tests, right? They're like at least 4 or 5 other tests that you can take, and there are so many B schools that you can target. So what is the goal, right? Ultimately the goal is MBA. It's a destination. The paths can be different. So if CAT doesn't work out, it's okay. See, when I was a student, right, even CAT didn't work out for me because I had a 98.28 on the CAT overall. My verbal score was terrible, and I'm talking about an era where there were only 6 IMs. So there was no way I could have gotten right with 2.7 lakh takers. So I didn't get a call from any of the IMs, but I had 3 converts that year, 3 other converts. Out of it, JBIMS was my best convert. So I joined JBIMS. So there were also people who told me that time that, "Hey, why don't you try again next year?" But I had decided that if I get into top 25, I'll join. So what is your end objective? The end objective is to do an MBA. CAT is just one of the ways in which you can get there. So it's okay. I keep telling this to everybody that you have to respect the test, but don't be scared of the test. Uh, this is from some question from Shubhi G226. Uh, so there is no such quota in any of the B schools as far as I am aware, but there could be some B schools that might consider on a case-to-case basis, but there's no explicit quota that at least I am aware of. Okay, mock scores dropping drastically this week. What to do? Percentile, I'll not worry about. So if you have seen drop in percentile on your SIMCATs, that's not a concern, because what has happened is, and in the last stream also I mentioned this, a lot of engineers, a lot of IITians, NITians who like to show up towards the end have started taking SIMCAT. So we know that there are more and more people who are who suddenly jumped into the SIMCAT taking audience, because of which your percentile would have dropped. How to be calm and composed and zen like you? Okay, so firstly, I'm definitely not somebody who is like this throughout. But see, when you start working also, and with age also, that happens, that you tend to experience a lot of things, and it tells you that some things are worth the effort, some things are not worth the effort. But yes, there will be days when you feel bad about even some petty issue, and you will flip, but that's okay. I mean, all of us again are humans, and that's going to happen. But as much as possible, remaining days, keep calm, stay composed, and one best suggestion is going to be, if there is anything that you think you can't solve, don't take pressure of that. And it could be an external problem, an internal problem, whatever it may be. The other thing is, surround yourself with people who are positive, who will at least give you, will at least not demotivate you. Open people is fine, will in your face tell you that, okay, this is going fine, this is not going fine, that's fine. But don't surround yourself with negative people, because then that will pull you down. Okay. All right. So more or less done. It's almost 6 o'clock, so we'll have to wrap up the session here. But I suggest that, so just to like summarize it, because the questions also tend to get repetitive. So number one, score fluctuations happens to everybody. There is nothing to get worried about right now. So if it is score or it is percentile, it's a function of a lot of things. Difficulty of the test, what is the pool taking the test, and all of that. So I'll not worry about it. Second, if you're getting tensed, know that you are already ahead of, I would say, maybe 80% of the audience, because you're preparing for the test. So just by that fact that you took mock tests, you did courseware, you did master classes, you did past year papers, you're already ahead of a lot of people from an exposure perspective. So that is there. The third thing is about admats. So right now, let's not worry about them for the next 10, 11 days. Let CAT get over. You will have enough time to work on them. The strategy to follow is to do more mocks and the test specific content. Fourth is, what if CAT doesn't go well? You have all the other tests. You have other B schools where you can apply that, that you can target without CAT. So there will always be opportunities. Okay. So I would suggest that you take control of things from now on. Don't overthink. Do what you're supposed to do. Make sure that it is a mixture of past year papers and SIMCATs, and do at least 66 to 68 questions every single day from a mix of 3 sections, right? So from all 3 sections. Why do I make that statement? Is because it has to be like a CAT equivalent every single day. It can either come from a full length test, or a past year question paper, or 3 sectionals. okay, but do at least that much effort every single day so that you are in shape. Avoid burning out. So don't do, let's say, 2 mocks a day and all. It's not going to help much. And whatever your slot is, adjust your entire body clock to that particular slot. Okay, so that's it from my side. I hope it has helped you. I will see you again on Friday. So in case for whatever reasons your question could not be answered, maybe you can come back again on Friday. But if you don't want to wait, you can always leave it as a comment once the video stream is done. And even on the past video on the streams, I've replied to the queries that I've got. So let me know if you have any query. Okay. Thank you so much for joining, and wish all of you all the best. Keep calm and stay composed. Keep doing the stuff that you've done. See, there's nothing different that you need to do. You know what you are, you know what you have done, you know what needs to be done. So just focus on it and execute properly. Okay. All right. Whether some score is enough or not, I think any score right now that you're getting is good enough. It's better than a lot of people who are not taking SIMCATs, who are not doing past year papers, who are not preparing for the CAT. You will, in the relative sense, will end up doing better than a lot of people. Okay. So don't worry. Okay. Bye everyone. Take care.